Hey y'all. Okay. So this is my first time going live fully on YouTube where I'm not streaming anywhere else. So hey, welcome to our full moon, super moon, harvest moon, and partial lunar eclipse and the kickoff of eclipse season. So number one, this is Give Me Grace. This is a long time since I did a long form video. And I do not know how this is going to work. Number two, I'm running extremely behind. So to the people who I posted on YouTube, not YouTube, on Instagram and Facebook who were trying to come over here, I'm about 15 minutes late. And I could not remember how to get into StreamYard, which is what I use to broadcast. But anyways, welcome to our full moon time that we spend together and we learn how to work with this full moon. And what a full moon to start this back up again. So, if you don't know me, my name is Jasmine. I'm the owner of Flourish Homestead and Apothecary. This is my soul's work, but by day I might moonlight working as a community organizer and a policy strategist, or better yet, a relational organizer and policy strategist. Yeah. So that's a little bit about me. And here's what Flourish Apothecary and Homestead is. We are 100% Black owned, artisanal shop that believes in self-healing, that believes self-healing is your birthright, that believes in the right to heal yourself through slow living, through mindfulness, through skill development and holistic healing, right? So that's a little bit about us. We will get into, and I will have more videos explaining what Flourish Homestead and Apothecary is. I did it about 2 years ago on the YouTube, not the YouTube, but the Instagram, and I'm going to have to redo a video for this platform. But from now on, this will be where all of our long form videos will be held so that people can pause and people can do so many other things while they're working with the energy. Okay, so let's hop right into it. Okay, I don't know what that show mean in StreamYard. Oh, okay. I don't know what that was, but here we go. I turned it on. So like I was saying, y'all, full harvest moon, and happy super moon, and happy kickoff to eclipse season, right? So this full moon is taking place in Pisces at 25 degrees and 41 minutes of Pisces. As you know, a full moon is when the moon and the sun astrologically are in opposite signs or in sibling signs. So the sun is at 25 degrees 41 minutes Virgo, and the moon is at Pisces at the same degrees in minutes, right? And it'll be going direct at about 10:45 tonight. So make sure you go outside and sit under this moon, y'all. Okay. All right. And this will be affecting people who are mutable and people who are cardinal the most. So if you are 21 to 30 degrees mutable, this will be affecting you a whole lot. You know what I didn't do? Oh, and we're also listening to the moon's frequency, which is 210 hertz, y'all. You know, I do this every full moon. How I work with my energy a lot of things come to me through frequencies and through downloads like that. So I always like to keep a clear palette, keep my aura cleansed, keep the energy that I live in and I'm around and I spend all my time in cleansed by consistently doing frequency healing like this, okay? So I did say that this is affecting mutable signs. So mutable signs are Pisces, Gemini, Virgo. I'm missing one. I can't remember the third one right now. I'm sorry, y'all. But those are the mutable signs that will be impacted by this. Okay, so I'm going to try again. The mutable signs are Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, and I can never remember that goddamn on fourth mutable sign, but that will be impacted the most at 21 to 30 degrees if you follow astrological degrees, okay? And then you have the cardinal signs. So cardinals are initiators of the zodiac. Cardinal signs are Capricorn, Libra, Aries, and Cancer. Those are the 4 signs from 0 to 1 degrees. If you follow astrological degrees, they will be impacted by that too. Okay, so here is the particular astrology that is also impacting this full moon. Okay, so I need you to know that Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron are all in retrograde. That's number 1. Okay. And this is impacting us in different ways because, as we know, retrogrades are an illusion, right? Because it's from our perspective. In any of the orbiting planets that we have in our solar system, none of them move backwards. They all move the same way, right? It's only from our perspective that we have retrogrades. And retrogrades are time periods for us to do internal reflection, to stop, to slow down, and to do skill development. So a lot of times, and popular culture has made retrogrades to be some sort of bad time, or a time when nothing really happens, or bad things sort of happen, or things just sort of feel out of our control. But really, when we understand the energy of all retrogrades, and then we understand the energy of so many planets, especially our large transformational or outer planets, being in retrograde. What we really need to understand is that this is just a time of deep introspection, a time of deep skill development, and a time of deep change, right? And so that is what you really need to know about that. Some of them that really, really stand out is that Neptune, which is the planetary ruler of Pisces, which the full moon is in retrograde, and it's retrograde in Pisces, right? So it's a little bit too far to be like like a square or a conjunction, which are positive conversations. Like, but please understand that this is very much so impacting this moon because it's in the same signs. It just might be at a different degree or different decades, right? And I can't remember the actual place that Neptune is in, like what actual degree and minute that is in, and I should have got it, so I'll get it for the next full moon reading. But please understand that that deeply impacts that. Also, with this being a full moon and an eclipse, Chiron being in retrograde, and our current North Node, which is in Aries, in retrograde, will be also deeply impacting this full moon. It's just deeply impacting us overall because it's attacking the areas where we are codependent. That's what the Aries Libra axis is all about. So when we're talking about codependent, it's asking us to really stretch ourselves beyond our comfort and beyond our limitations, and to hang in the fight a little bit past when we usually give up, right? In order for that success or those breakthroughs to really happen. And Aries rules the head, it rules self, it's the first of the zodiac. So it's only initiations and things and skill development and support that you can give yourself, right? Because it's all about, again, breaking codependency, which Libra governs. And Libra is in the South Node. And Libra's whole lesson, since it's been in the South Node, is breaking us up with codependency so that we can move to a space of interdependency, right? Which will be one of the lessons that we learn when Pisces is in North Node and Virgo is in South Node, right? And like I said, because this is a Pisces full moon and it's also a partial lunar eclipse, this is giving us a taste of what the nodal energy will look like once January 2025 comes. So sorry I went off on that rant, but I really had to highlight that and let y'all know why that was so important. Okay, the moon will also be in opposition with Mercury. So Mercury is at home. in one of its home signs of Virgo, right? And so when Mercury is in Virgo, it is really in, it's at home. It's in complete expression and exaltation of itself. And so what that means is really paying attention to details, paying attention to routines, paying attention to habits, paying attention to lifestyle, and paying attention to the things that make your everyday life what it is, right? And the reason why there's so much tension and opposition is because Pisces, which is where the full moon is, and Neptune in retrograde, sits on the other end. And Neptune rules the 12th house, one consciousness. It rules over Pisces. It rules over the imagination. To some extent, it rules over the astral, right? Astral travel in a way, to a certain extent, time jumping and dimension jumping, right? And so when you understand all of these things, you understand why you feel so much tension right now, because it's about thinking that two different things, or we're having two different conversations when we're really having one conversation. It's about compromising where we meet in the middle, right? And so when Mercury is in Virgo, again, it's about details and it's about everything else. And these are all the things that Pisces naturally doesn't like. Like Pisces is about the big picture. Like everything beyond Virgo is about the big picture. So it doesn't really care about the details. It doesn't really care about the pathway of how we get there. It doesn't really care about how we spend our everyday lives and our habits. It just has faith that we're going to get there because it is divine energy. It already understands and intuitively and unconsciously knows everything. And so, with that being said, it doesn't really have to worry. But Virgo, which the sun is in, and Mercury is the opposite. Okay. And Mercury rules over communication, right? And the moon rules over our emotions. So right now you can feel hypersensitive. Your emotions can feel hypersensitive. You could be hypercritical to details right now, or you could be hypercritical to somebody giving you details, right? So please understand that because of all of this oppositional energy, relationships and communication within relationships could feel strained right now. And understand that it's just a miscommunication because of the natural tension that exists on the Pisces Virgo axis, right? And so right now you really have to practice that Virgo energy of grounding, taking the deep breaths to understand what is your feelings, what's your emotions, and what's reality, right? And then you also have to understand that everybody is feeling hypersensitive right now. Everybody's feeling their emotions right now. Everybody's feeling anxious right now. Everybody's being hyperstimulated or overstimulated right now. And so practicing discernment and practicing taking a breath before you react right now and the next 3 days after is very, very important. And you might even begin to have felt this energy probably about Sunday. It just began to feel really tense, right? And please understand that that's that oppositional energy that's going on right now, okay? Also, what's going on right now is that with this Mercury energy, even though you're feeling very emotional, it's like the way that everything is coming across is very intellectual, and that's what's causing the miscommunications right now. So please understand that. There's also a semi-square between the moon and Pluto. So Pluto 2 weeks ago moved back into Capricorn after spending a couple of months in Aquarius. And that was the second time that Pluto had been in Aquarius since moving out of Capricorn. As a recap, Pluto has spent about or would have been close to 20 years in Capricorn because it moved into there in 2028, right? So it's been about 16, 17 years in Capricorn. And Because it's in retrograde, it moved back into Capricorn and will be there until November 19th, 2025, before it moves into Aquarius until 2045, I believe. Okay. And so this is so important because right now, with this energy and with the moon, a lot of suppressed emotions are coming up for us. We know that Pluto in Capricorn uh, is a very interesting time, and it's a time where a lot of things that are no longer working for society and a lot of things that are no longer working overall at a collective level begin to break down. So a lot of the feelings that you might have felt relief from earlier this year when Pluto moved into Aquarius will start to come back. And it's really asking you, like, what have you learned the lessons, or what are the wisdom that you learned over the past 20 years when Pluto was in Capricorn, right? And so, what are those things that is asking us to reflect on, to wind up, to leave behind, okay? And most of that just deals with the fact that we know that how society runs is not sustainable. How we push ourselves, how this is a capitalistic, money driven society is not working. We know that Capricorn governs the 10th house, it governs rules, it governs traditions, it governs structures, it also governs limitations. So, a lot of the things that we're feeling right now is about how we overcome limitations, how we overcome, again, Libra energy, South Node and Libra energy, our insecurities, or how we overcome codependency right now, because we recognize not only at a collective level what isn't working for us and what can no longer happen anymore, but it's also at a micro level. It's also within our lives, it's within our relationships, right? And so, for a lot of people right now, you could feel like deep emotions and deep feelings that you've been trying to suppress, or that you've been kind of grappling with, that you felt like you kind of got reprieve from a break. Those themes might come back for you. So, for me, because I'm Saturn and I have a driven or Saturn dominated, I have a lot of Capricorn energy. It always felt like no matter how much I worked when Pluto was in Aquarius, I always had to work harder than not in Aquarius, in Capricorn. I always had to work harder than everybody else to complete my goals, or to complete the things that I set out to do. And I felt like oftentimes every obstacle and every possible thing that came my way was really like outrageous. And I often compared myself when Pluto is in Capricorn to other people. And what I needed to understand with my Saturn being in Capricorn, with my moon being in Capricorn, with my Neptune and my Uranus being in Capricorn, and what I really had to learn through my career 10th house energy, is that a true leader with their North Node in Aquarius, so a community leader, does every job and goes every step of the way, right? I told y'all that I've been doing relational community organizing since 2008, right? Well, I told everybody on IG. I didn't tell everybody here, but you get to know me the more time I spend here. Um, and one of the things that my career taught me is, now that I'm a leader, now come 2028, that I will have spent 20 years in one career, I have been everything. I have been the volunteer, and now executive director, and now self-employed and entrepreneur. And when you feel that and you know that and you've been every step of the way, those are the lessons that I was supposed to learn when Pluto was in Capricorn. How to do every job, how to do everything, how to build things. Because of the work that I did, in that social justice work, I have been a part of so many startup organizations. And I've had to learn how to build organizations, how to build institutions. And because I was comparing myself to people, I couldn't see the work that I was doing because I was spending twice as long building it. And I wasn't honoring Saturn. And I wasn't honoring my Capricorn energy. And thus I wasn't honoring myself, which is you build slow because you start at the ground floor and you go all the way to the top. Every step of the way, you build the system, you build the institution, you build the structure, you pave the way for other people, right? There goes that Neptune in Capricorn and that Uranus in Capricorn energy, right? And what I couldn't see was that I was A, building a 20-year career, and B, I was building skills that were transferable and were integral to my leadership skills and my skill development overall. But most importantly, with my North Node in Aquarius, that humanitarian collectivism energy, it made me a compassionate leader because I understand what the volunteer is going through. I understand what the staff is going through. As a person who has fundraised before, I understand what it means to have staff. I understand what it means to have other people's livelihoods in my hands. As a person who serves the community, I have to think about what humanity means. I have to think about what equity means, even if it's not convenient for me. I also had to learn how to be selfishly selfless, which meant following my path and taking my time, even when people didn't believe in me, right? Those are the things that I personally had to learn while Pluto was in Capricorn. And because it entered when I was 18 years old, this had been the story of my adult life. Everything that I had set out to do since I was 18, since I had built that career, since I had went to college, everything, y'all, it was hard. It was hard to build. It was hard to maintain. People lost faith in me. People couldn't understand me. People lost hope in me. But I looked up one day and I was an expert. And I looked up one day and I was a steward and I was a leader. And I looked up one day and I had a career, not a job. I had been in alignment or was getting in alignment very slowly with my life's purpose. And now that is coming up on 20 years, I'll get to revel in that. Oh, that's about to make me cry. Damn Pisces energy. Also, I'm hypersensitive, so there's that. But I had to say that lesson because so many things have been hard for me since 2008. And so many times I thought I was a failure, but I wasn't. I was building the best fucking foundation while everything around me was being torn down. And the foundation that I built wasn't just for me. It was meant to take other people with me. It's the reason why I'm sitting here talking to y'all today, right? And I just want you to know that for a lot of us, we have our outer planets, right? So our Saturn is an outer planet. Our Uranus is an outer planet. And our Neptune is an outer planet in Capricorn. And you might have felt like a late bloomer or very delayed in life, but you're not. You're right on time. All those lessons and all those failures were not indicative of your character. That's what's being highlighted right now, right? With this semi-square with Pluto. and with it moving back into Capricorn, and the moon being in Pisces, so all that emotional energy is coming up around that. It's the reminder that late bloomer, you're right on time. This was always meant to happen. You just have a lot of Saturnian energy, and it takes Saturn 28 years to have a return, right? To make it to the same point that it was in 28 years before then, to do a complete orbit or a complete rotation. And then the resonance, the reverberation from that 28-year cycle, depending on how Saturnian you are, impacts that. And it's because you were supposed to learn every lesson at every step of the way, and you're not failing, and it's not indicative of your character, and it's not a character flaw. You are now incorporating all those wisdoms, all those failures, all that hard work that you went through, and not giving up, mind you. Because if you're watching this video, you're a real one, and you ain't gave up, and you true to the self-development, not new to it. And I want you to know that that's very indicative of that. And so with the moon semi-squaring Pluto right now, and Pluto doing all this heavy movement work on our transformational planets, you just could feel very sudden, deep plunges of emotions and not knowing where they came from. And it's really your body somatically integrating that wisdom that I just talked about, and I just highlighted personally through my own life. And take the resonance of what I'm saying and the themes of what I'm saying, and I hope that you understand what are the themes and the personal lessons for you while Pluto is backtracking through the transformational 29th degree of Capricorn before it leaves our lifetime, Capricorn, and go into Aquarius, because the next time Pluto is in Capricorn, it'll be 247 years from now, y'all. So with that being said, I just wanted to highlight that for y'all. Okay, it's crazy looking. Hold on and let me move my mouse. Okay. And I'm going to take a drink of my tea real quick. So this tea is like eucalyptus. Ooh, eucalyptus leaves. I put a lot of it in there. And it's food grade eucalyptus leaves, because sometimes you are not supposed to consume certain types of eucalyptus, so please make sure it's food grade. Peppermint, cinnamon, lavender. What else is in this thing? Chamomile, lemon balm, and something else. I can't remember. I just sort of threw this tea together. But this is what I'm drinking on. And we will be talking about our products and services within the apothecary real soon. Okay, let's get to moving on. Also, the moon is conjuncting Saturn. Saturn is retrograde right now, and I'm having a brain fart because I can't remember where Saturn is. I can't remember if Saturn is in Pisces with Neptune or what. So hold on. Let me get my bearings right quick. And again, if you can hear it in the background, we're listening to 210 hertz. Okay, so Saturn is at Pisces at 15 degrees in 16 minutes. Okay, so again, the moon is conjuncting. Oh yeah, I should have known, because it's conjunction, and conjunction is within 5 or 10 degrees. So boo, 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 boo. Not me not following that astrological math, y'all. And so with this, Saturn represents, again, structure, discipline, time, responsibilities. It also represents accomplishment, completion of things, the 10th house energy. So you at your highest form. But Saturn also, like I said, represents hard lessons, karma, doing all of the hard work. And it's retrograde, and it's in Pisces along with the moon, right? Which is at 25 degrees and 41 minutes of Pisces. So you just might have a stronger awareness of like, what is your responsibilities? What are the new responsibilities that you have taken on? What are the new awarenesses that you have had that are inviting in new responsibilities for you to get into alignment? What are your current responsibilities? But since it's about the emotions and the body and the unconscious, because that is the moon and it's a partial eclipse, it's also about burnout. And a lot of people are burned out right now, okay? And so, with that being said, you are very aware, very consciously and mentally aware of everything that is on your shoulders. You could feel like Atlas. And this could feel like a time of crisis, but it is not a time of crisis if you don't let it, right? What this is really highlighting is, do you have the tools or the support to sustain the responsibilities that you have, current and new, and the responsibilities of what it means to build toward your dreams, your destiny, your life purpose, whatever it is that you call it, when you're in alignment and you're living in oneself, or for oneself and within one's frequency or one's true path. Okay. And what is also enhancing this energy of that feeling is the fact that 2024 is an 8-year in numerology, and that is a Saturn-based year. So a lot of the lessons, and I've been saying this since 2023, and check over on the Instagram, that a lot of us during this time period are supposed to stay on our paths, especially with the North Node and Chiron in Aries, and don't let any distractions. And with Neptune, the moon, and Saturn being in Pisces, and two of those celestial bodies being retro fucking grade, you best believe the world is full of distractions right now. So what you have to do is stay on your path. What you have to do is stay in your lane. What you have to do is understand that even if you feel overwhelmed by your responsibilities or by the possibilities of the responsibilities of getting on path, getting on alignment, that should be normal right now, especially with it being the 8th year. But what you have to do is still stay on your path rather than just slow down. Pisces energy is water energy. You're supposed to go with the flow. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling overstimulated, if you're feeling fatigued, right, you're not really doing it right. And that's what Saturn being in retrograde and conjuncting the moon is really highlighting: your responsibilities versus how you're sustaining. And the sustaining is the oppositional energy of the opposition that's going on between the moon and the sun with Virgo, right? Because it again is about discernment. Because in order to stay on your path, you have to practice discernment. You have to be able to see reality, see boundaries, see what is your path, knowing what is your responsibility so you don't under or overdo it, you know? And it's also like about breaking that codependent bond with whomever or whatever is going on because of the South Node. And it's still eclipse season. And even though we're not on the Aries Libra eclipse, we have to understand that the North Node and South Node is still there. And so that energy is impacted by that. Or what I should say is the resonance or reverberation energy of those eclectic points are still activating, and is still in this gumbo of energy that is this moon, right? And Saturn is really picking up and enhancing all of this energy, right? And that's the conversation that this perspective is having. So if you're really feeling that energy, if you're really feeling burned out, if you're really feeling all of this, you particularly are feeling the moon being in conjunction with Saturn and the retrograde, and understanding where the chasms are in your lifestyle, in your sustainability, in your resources, or in your support, right? And because it's in Pisces, support could be metaphysically, spiritually, or energetically, right? So are you really asking and trusting in support of the divine? What is divine for you? Who do you call on in the metaphysical to keep you in alignment? Is it your ancestors? I hope it is. Especially if you got that melanin, I hope it is. That's the first step, period, right? Who are you paying reverence to, right? What energies or deities or forces of nature metaphysically are you paying reverence to? Are you paying reverence at all? Are you interacting with your ori or with your head, with your pineal gland at all? Are you interacting with the astral, with imagination, with creativity, with God mind at all? Because the lack mindset could start for you in the metaphysical, right? And that lack mindset could make your responsibilities on this Pisces Virgo axis seem astronomical. And it's because you lack the belief at a metaphysical level of sixth house energy that you have the worth, and that second house energy too, right? The worth to do it. And a lot of people who have personal planets, so that's moon, sun, Venus, Mars, Mercury in the sixth house, may suffer from that, may suffer from boundary issues and people pleasing. And so you might not have enough support, right, to be able to accomplish your own responsibilities in addition to the responsibilities that you said you would do for others. And so all of this is kind of like being highlighted right now. And if this energy really resonates for you, sit with that. Sit with the fact that maybe your responsibilities or this deep awareness of your responsibilities might make you feel overwhelmed or want to check out because you don't have enough support. And that support or lack of support that you feel even goes to the astral or the metaphysical or the energetic or the internal world. And that's because you don't spend enough time in that world. You don't spend enough time with those energies. You don't spend enough time with forces of nature, with deities, with nature itself, with your ancestors, with your ori, with your head, with your spirits, with your soul. And so during this time period, especially with Saturn being in Pisces and Neptune being there too, and the moon currently being there, and it being a partial lunar eclipse, is highlighting if you need a better spiritual hygiene routine, because it'll help your responsibilities be better. It'll help your responsibilities not seem so astronomical. And if you've fallen off of your spiritual hygiene routine, now's the time to get back on. Virgo energy governs health, right? It governs well-being. It governs healing. It governs self-healing. So you can use this oppositional energy to really break through and release the things that really hold you back from that. All right. And we just passed the point about 6 minutes ago where the moon went direct. It's now 10:51 p.m. And yeah, we're going to be wrapping up soon, y'all. Okay. And also the moon is squaring Jupiter, right? And so Jupiter is also no, it's not in retrograde anymore. And I cannot remember because it is so damn close to 11 o'clock and I'm getting sleepy. And so, hold on, let me figure out where Jupiter is at with my butt because I'm sleeping. Oh, yeah, Jupiter's in Gemini. Okay. So with Jupiter being in Gemini and it being in square, it's just a harsh conversation, right? And so again, the moon is in Pisces, or it's a tense conversation. The moon is in Pisces, and Jupiter is in Gemini. And Jupiter loves Gemini, right? Because Gemini governs communication, it governs facts, it covers mastery of that. And Jupiter, Sagittarius energy is all about wisdom. It's all about taking facts and turning it into wisdom. And it's all about being a student. And so overall, Jupiter energy loves to learn, loves to observe or absorb information, and then take that information and sometimes turn it into new information in addition to their own lived experiences, right? And so when these two energies come together, it's just like you feeling like you're a little bit in a toggle, right? Because you want to learn and you want to process the information that you're taking in, because you know that you're taking in information, or you know that you have this new awareness, but you don't really have like the words for it. And I know that might be hard with Mercury being in Virgo, but it's a sense of the disconnect that can happen when this sort of energy comes up, when the moon is in Pisces and Jupiter is in Gemini and they're having a square, right? It's like you're taking in all this information, you're having feelings and emotions about this, but you almost don't have the language for it yet, or you haven't been able to process it and integrate it so that you can communicate and or talk about it. And Jupiter, again, doesn't have boundaries. So, again, this new awareness can make you feel overstimulated. And so, with this happening, it's a good time to just lean into mutable energy, feminine energy, receptive energy, going with the flow, water energy, because the water elemental is high today, particularly. And so, I would lean into that. Okay. Okay. If you do energy work, I just want to remind you that today, earth and water elementals, if you work with elementals, are really, really strong because of the opposition, because of the partial eclipse, and different things like that. Fire energy is really, really weak. And because Jupiter is in Gemini, air energy is kind of neutral. Like, if you can hone in and work with it, great. If you can't, I understand, because a lot of people wouldn't be able to work with that energy with so many other types of energies going on right now. Fixed energy is very, very weak right now, so it would not be a good time to lean into working with like Taurus energy, Leo energy, Aquarius energy, and I'm missing a last fixed sign because it's damn near 11 o'clock, right? Mutable energy, though, is strong, except for that Gemini air energy, right? So if you work with modalities, you can work again with Pisces and Virgo energy because of the celestial body or the astrological placement of every thing. And if you have that energy in your chart, you can work with those really, really well. Cardinal energy, initiation energy. So that is Aries energy, that is Cancer energy, that is Capricorn energy. Damn, I'm always missing one. And another one, I can't remember. Google cardinal signs. But initiation energy is neutral right now. So if you naturally know how to work with those things or they're in your chart, it's kind of a hit or miss. I would just say work with mutable energy, y'all, this week or with this full moon. Okay. And so we've already. Okay, back. Okay, so we have not talked about from an astronomical perspective within the apothecary and the homestead astrology, but we also understand the science of it all. So we also understand astronomy. And so I just wanted to tell y'all about the astronomy, which is the physics, so that we can understand the energetics of it all. Okay. And so, you know, the moon is a satellite, and it's a satellite that is caught in the gravitational force field of the earth, right? And it stabilizes our earth, and therefore it stabilizes our weather and our seasons and things like our tide and water, right? So that is why the moon governs the fourth house, water, but it also governs our emotions. Our emotions are fluid like water, and our emotions govern water also, right? Um, so that is why the moon is so important, and that is why we follow the moon cycle, because we ourselves and a lot of things on earth are primarily made of water. Humans are between what, 79 to 80% water. And so when we know that, we have to honor the moon cycle and the ebbs and flows of fluidity because it impacts us and it stabilizes us. And when the moon is full, it deeply, deeply impacts us because that's science, that's the physics of it all, right? And it's the energy of it all. And so when you follow the moon cycle, you're able to really understand it. And then when you understand the science behind it, it makes the energy work. It makes the manifestation, it makes the soul work so much better because you understand the complete cycle. Okay, so astrologically, again, the moon controls our emotions, our unconscious, the body, the feminine, nurturing, and mothering energy. It spends about 2 days in each sign. Okay, and like I said, it controls our inner world or our emotions. As you know, the full moon is the third phase of the lunar cycle, and it's all about releasing. It's all about self care. It's all about seeing everything for what it is. That is what full moons are all about, right? Astronomically, it is the lunar phase where the sun is opposite the moon. And so, from our perspective, the moon is fully lit because the sun and the moon are like 180 degrees apart from each other in the ecliptic cycle. And the ecliptic cycle is the Earth's rotation around the sun, right? And all this means astrologically, again, is that the moon and the sun are in sibling signs. So Virgo, sun, Pisces, moon. Okay. And then an eclipse from literally happening is okay. We back. Sorry, y'all. My internet unstable. Okay, and then an eclipse is a partial or complete obstruction of one celestial body by another on Earth. When we experience eclipse, it is because the Earth, the moon, and the sun are constantly moving. So you have the Earth, and then the moon is constantly moving around Earth while Earth is moving around the sun, right? And because of that type of rotation, a couple times of the year, the sun, the moon, and Earth align. And the moon gets caught in the Earth's shadow, right? Or, yes, the moon gets caught in the Earth's shadows, blocking out the sun light from our perspective, right? And that's what an eclipse is. A partial eclipse, of course, is when there's only a partial obstruction of the moon. And this eclipse that took place at 10:45 p.m., so just a couple minutes ago, was a lunar eclipse, right? And I also wanted to emphasize that this was a harvest moon and it was a super moon. So a harvest moon has always been known by indigenous cultures to be the moon that happens right before the fall equinox, but Western society took it in about 708 and really took it as a time period for agricultural purposes to be able to harvest at the end of season and had a full moon that allowed them to extend their harvest hours. And this term was first used in the almanac in about 1708, and it's a super moon, right? So this eclipse is also a moon that feels very, very close to us because it is very, very close to us because that's what a super moon is. And so that's why this moon has so many goddamn on titles. That's why it was a full moon, a partial lunar eclipse, and it was a harvest moon, and it was a super moon. So I know that might have been really, 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 really confusing. But I just wanted to explain all of those things. And energetically, spiritually, metaphysically, when you have a super moon, the emotions that you feel are more intense. The same thing with eclipses. Eclipses are all about initiations that you have no control over. It's about timeline and dimension jumps. It's about making sure that you are going through portals to get you in alignment with who you are supposed to be. It is something that we as humans are not in control of. It is destiny itself coming in a couple times a year and switching it up, right? Even more so when it is a super moon right now, it means that the transformations are things that typically we would just have a hard time letting go of, right? And so that's what all the energy is really permeating through us right now. And that is what the collective energy is. So that's why everybody kind of seems like more intense, more on edge. And then when Pluto been in Capricorn, you're having so many of these societal breakdowns, collective breakdowns. We're really thinking about what equity is and what equality is and what humanitarianism is and what human rights is and what freedom and sovereignty and liberation is, which are the themes of Pluto going into Aquarius as we're moving into Age of Aquarius, right? That is just really highlighted and being highlighted for us even more so would have been a super moon and an eclipse, right? And so that's why this energy is so transformational. And again, we will not be feeling this particular energy again for like another 247 years once November comes and Pluto goes back into Aquarius for the next 20 years. The next time Pluto is in Capricorn, it'll be 247 years from now. And they'll be looking back on our time to figure out how to get through theirs. So what to do or how to work with the energy or how you might feel when it's a full moon in Pisces. You can feel deeply empathetic, deeply sensitive, hypersensitive, because it's deep water, mutable energy. It governs the deepest water, so the deepest of our emotions. If you pay reverence to forces of natures, to deities, a good a force of nature to pay reference to, if you do, and if you're familiar, and if you understand the culture, is Olakun, right? Olakun, from a Yoruba perspective, from the Ifa, African traditional religion, governs the deepest part of the ocean, right? And please understand, I do believe in initiations. I also believe in studying the culture and the people who gave name to this force of nature, to this deity, to this way of knowing, to this energy. So a good one to sit, a reverence, gratitude, thank you to during this time period would be Olakun. Okay. Um, Also, I just wanted to say you can feel very creative, very caring, like I said, deeply empathetic to the point where like you can't really differentiate other people's emotions from yours right now. So please be very, very careful with that. You also might feel somewhat romantic and soft-hearted. You may feel very connected with everything. Your chakras and your prana and your chi system could feel very open right now. So please be careful because them clairs they're gonna be hitting right now, especially like the clairsentience, the claircognizance, the clairvoyance, the clairaudience, will be very, very strong. Not really like the clair gustance will be very, very strong right now. You could feel energy surges because of this Pisces energy, and it being a full moon in Pisces in the sacral or the crown chakra. So please be careful with that because you could be walking around with your emotion center very, very open and your crown very, very open. So that can invite a lot of things in to your aura. So please pay attention with that. Also, you may be very prone to astral travel right now. So you could feel very sleepy, not very motivated to go out and do things, get things accomplished, do your routine. You could just want to sleep. You could just want to dream, meditate, daydream. Jupiter being in Gemini, learn, like disassociation through learning. Those could be things that you might be thinking about. And it could be very easy to timeline jump and dimension jump if you know how to do that, or you naturally do that, or you train yourself up to do that. So please be careful, and make sure that you work hard to have a strong sense of reality between now and like Saturday when this full moon and this eclipse energy kind of wears off. But and I want to say eclipse energy. But please understand, we're in an eclipse portal right now. Like, this is the first eclipse in a series of eclipses, because that's why it's called eclipse season. So the energy is not going to dissipate per se in this portal. You're still going to be going through that deep transformation, right? You're still going to be on that pathway, but the energy will kind of level out in that first set of change or transformation. It'll give you time to acclimate more so with it. So just wanted to say that. And also, you could have very oppositional, like I said, energy to your habits, your routine, structure, details, facts, really earth based energy, second house, sixth house, or 12th house energy. So please, please, please be careful with that, because that could impact your work. It could get you off your routine. It could get you off your workout schedule if you're trying to complete a goal. This could be a really derailing week for your goals. So I just really wanted to help you pay attention with that. And that is because of Pisces energy and an eclipse season kicking off during this time. Even though like lunar eclipses are the weakest of eclipse energy, metaphysically, scientifically, and thus so spiritually, right? And so it really it's gonna be a lot. There's just no other way around it. But what I'm saying is it could be worse. And also what I'm saying is, because of all this energy, like I said, you could feel very connected to source, to creator right now. And that's because Pisces energy governs the 12th house. It's governed by Neptune. So it governs the imagination, one consciousness. And it's really the awareness that we are all one. We are all divine. We are all sparks of divine, having an illusion that we are having a separate experience, but we're really not. So when you're encountering another person or a plant or a crystal, you're really encountering a portion of divine. And since you are divine, a portion of yourself. And because of that, you could feel very introverted, not really want to go outside, kind of want to be in your comfortable spaces. Like right now, I'm in my meditation area, right? The meditation area of my bedroom. And this is where I want to feel when it feels really cozy. It's also getting ready to be fall equinox. So we're going into that time period where it's time to slow down. It's time to begin the internal process of reflection and everything else right now. So I just really wanted you to know that that's why it's just really easy for you to get off track right now. So please work really hard to stay on track and to have a realistic sense of yourself, your boundaries, and making sure that you are not disassociating and separating your thoughts from your emotions, kind of really working hard to integrate at the heart chakra level. Right. So I just wanted to talk about that and say that you also could feel overstimulation, sensory issues, and social anxiety right now. And I've been suffering from all of them. I've been feeling this eclipse energy like for about 2 weeks. That's how I know it was about to be a wild one. And I just have not felt motivated to be outside. Like I literally spent the past 10 days in my house. And when my friend came back from out of town, well, two of my friends, one of them, the first time I left my house in like 8 days, it was to throw an event with and for a friend. And the second time was yesterday. Um, Sorry, y'all. It's the YouTube video is changing. And the second time was for a friend, because the friend had came back in from town and they were like, "You haven't really left your home in 10 days. Let's have a work date." And I was just like, "You're right." And so that is the sort of energy that really, really could be happening right now. And that's because of the overstimulation, the sensory issues like these blue lights right here. I don't really have time for it. It's a highly sensitive person, and I haven't really been feeling social. That's why I really haven't been doing none of these videos. But we are working through everything, right? And thus we're still here. Okay, so we are going to talk about the Virgo Pisces axis, because that's the tension we've been talking about with this full moon. So we kind of talked about it earlier, but I just wanted you to know more about this axis. So an author that I read about 2 years ago, and I can't remember their name right now, referred to this axis as the axis of sensitivity. And I really love that thought process, highlighting the paradigms that exist between Virgo and Pisces, because what I've come to understand about these energies and studying astrology from a spiritual, esoteric, a metaphysical And I think I would say a shamanic place, also a very somatic hoodoo place. Like I feel this energy in my bones. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I really come to understand that Virgo energy and Pisces energy literally are about endings of cycles, right? So the entire zodiac will end at Pisces because it starts all over at Aries. Aries is the first astrological sign. But from Aries to Virgo is all about governing things of self-awareness and self-development, right? And I don't have it in front of me, but like it is I analyze. That is the mantra for Virgo is I analyze, right? And it's the last of the I's before it turns into we or collective levels. And then again, Pisces is the end of the astrological wheel. And it's also the 12th house. So it is the ending of collective energy, right? Again, it is that erasure of what we perceive to be ego or individuality. And so when you're on the Virgo Pisces axis, what this really represents is a paradigm shift, and it can really represent different times of new awarenesses, right? And that's why it's often called the axis of sensitivities, because it's about the ending of self at Virgo, and it's also about the ending of collection or collective, or the illusion of collective, right? And this is really, this opposition or this tension is really to highlight certain things. And that is in this third dimension realm that's ruled by Venus, that's ruled by Taurus energy, right? So that's what makes it an earth-based realm, right? Is we have to understand that earth-based energy are things that are meant to anchor things that are metaphysical in nature into our physical environment or a physical frequency. Virgo is no different. And so Virgo represents service, earth stewardship, and healing. And to be all of those things, you have to understand who you are at a physical level, at a spiritual level, and at an energetic or metaphysical level, or at a soul and spirit level. And you have to understand that you are part of the divine, right? And so when you use this Virgo energy, you're often talking about how you use your habits or your routines, your everyday lifestyle, how you do your mundane to call down your calling and your life's purpose. So through your work, your service, or your healing, right? And again, like I said, it really highlights your routines, your lifestyles, and how that plays a role in keeping you from your purpose or like helping you be on your purpose. And so you have to kind of use what Virgo highlights, which is discernment. So one of the things that Virgo highlights in exaltation is discernment, to understand your physical and your metaphysical limitations. That's what this axis highlights, and that's what balance is. So, in highest exaltation of Virgo is discernment. And like we talked about earlier in the video, of staying on your path and understanding who you are at a physical level, but also at a spiritual, soul, or metaphysical, energetic level, right? So that you don't experience burnout or waste your time. And you understand that in this physical world, your habits, your routine, who you spend your time with, everything that you do, your everyday life plays a role in that. And Virgo will always highlight that through and through and through, especially during Virgo season, and especially during this oppositional time of a Pisces full moon, and especially with all the astrology and all the things that are going on during this time period. Okay. Um, and so this will often show you during a Pisces full moon like this where you're disillusioned, where you're delusional, where you're overwhelmed, or where you're disassociation, and how that is impacting your soul contract or your life path. And it also will highlight where you're wasting your time, or even second house sort of energy of where you are, you lack the discernment or the physical resources. So the physical resources and the skill is sort of second house energy, like the things that you personally need to fulfill your life purpose, to call it fully out of the unseen. And during this Pisces moon, it's almost never about a lack of creativity. It's almost never about a lack of imagination or a lack of God mind, but rather it's about lack of attention to the details, and the mundane and the mediocre that contributes to making sure we do or don't accomplish and call in fully our life's purpose out of the unseen. Okay. And so we've already talked about that this is the beginning of eclipse season. We've already talked about particularly some of the different astrological events that are taking place. And I've already talked about that this lunar eclipse, particularly for this year, is really about movement of things that you're really having a hard time initiating. Let me get me some more of my tea. And I might get some water too. I put a lot of eucalyptus in that tea. Ooh, I'm gonna be real sleepy after this. Y'all, that water, life giving, literally. Okay, and but since this is a lunar eclipse, and like I said, lunar eclipses are the weakest of all eclipses. It could be endings that you clearly saw needed to end. You, for whatever reason, whether it was emotional attachment, whether it was people pleasing because the South Node is in Libra, for whatever reasons, you just didn't have the energy, or you consciously or unconsciously didn't begin the process of initiating something, or initiating that change or that movement. So this is something that you clearly knew was going to come to an end, and it just kind of needed to come to an end, and this eclipse is going to help you begin that process. And that really is what a portion of this eclipse season is all about. Okay. Let me see what else before we move on to the herbs and everything else. Okay, and like I said, nodal switches, new eclipse cycle. But I wanted to complete my thought about why this is. So I feel like in 8 years, all you do is learn lessons. So that's why I wanted to backtrack to, you clearly know that there was going to be an ending, and that's because 2024 is an 8 year. So all the Saturn energy is really just coming up and showing out a little bit right now in this full moon. And I think not a lot of astrologers are talking about that, and that's okay. And because I'm gonna talk about it. And the reason why I really wanted to say this is because it's also an 8 year if you study numerology, and the 8 year is governed by Saturn. So everybody this whole entire year, from a frequency perspective, has been learning about what are your weaknesses, what are your limitations, what are your boundaries, how have you been contributing to the erosion of your boundaries, to your habits, to all these things. It's about staying on your path. So naturally, you have to talk about Virgo energy, discernment, right? And so, with this being said, and with all of this energy being here, sorry, y'all. I feel like I'm about to cough. Okay, my bad, y'all. Okay. And then because I was trying not to cough on camera, I lost what I was going to say. So here. Because it was something I was going back to. Anyways. I think it was the 2024. 2024 what? 2024, because I did complete a thought. Damn. ADHD and tiredness got me. Burn. And my notes out of order, y'all. Because I'm sleepy. Oh, something that you didn't want to end. Okay. But you clearly saw that it was going to end. So because of that, you kind of knew that it was coming because you've kind of been assessing your weaknesses or what you haven't done or where you self-sabotage all the way around. But this eclipse season, particularly at the end of this year, will just really highlight those things and just kind of do the momentum work of getting them out the way. So universe, source and creator, your ancestors, your aura is really like, hey, here's the elephant in the room. And you be like, nah, I ain't got time for that. And then when that happens, they just do what they have to do to move that energy and move it out the way. So that's really prominent. And like we just talked about, it'll be a new eclipse energy. So it's really a highlight of what a lot of energy that we'll spend time in from 2025 to 2027. And the last time we had this sort of energy was around 2015 to 2017. I think May 2015 to November 2017. So pay attention to those time periods to kind of think about the themes, the lessons that you learn, the wisdom that you gain, not necessarily the facts, but kind of the themes and overall things, because some of that might be coming up during the time period, like the post shadow, pre-shadow, and actual new moon time. And it could be more energy that kind of picks back up for you starting about January 2025. So just please pay attention to this energy because it's kind of like a taste for 2025. And also at a numerology level around this time of the year, so September, October, is where you kind of start to feel the energy frequency of a new numerical shift. And so we'll be moving into a 9-year. And so again, because the nodes are changing and it'll be a 9-year, the energy that you feel right now during this particular time period will kind of highlight for you and help you understand how 2025 will be. So I wanted to highlight that. Now let's move into the herbs that you can work with when you're talking about Pisces energy. So that is lavender, chamomile, basil, oregano, rosemary, mint, sage, clove, eucalyptus, green tea, and sea salt. Now, what I told everybody on Instagram is if you knew what I knew and you had some of these things, either in essential oil form, fresh form, or dried herb form, you would mix them together. And you would make a sea salt scrub. And you would either put it in the bathtub with you and do a soak, do a pray up in there, or you can do it in a shower and do a shower scrub. And while you're doing a shower scrub, kind of focusing on the things that we talked about right now, right? That will be the easiest way to work with this energy if you knew what I knew and kind of incorporate that. Now, if you got altars, you can lay any of those things out on the altar. You can also make yourself tea. Like I told you, I made some tea and it has some of those elements in there, and that's currently what I'm drinking on right now. In addition to water, you can make your own incense. You can have areas where you can make your own incense. I also put free dried herbs, of course, into a fireproof thing, and I will smudge my home and clear the energy quite literally with that. During this time period, some of the other things that you can do, I guess we're going into the rituals, like I said, is make moon water. But please be careful with collecting moon water that has energy like this. And what I mean by that is people usually collect moon water to make sprays, and I don't have none of my sprays that I make over here. I have this one, right? So this is a spray that I use to move or clear energy in my meditation space, right? And even though most of the fragrances that's in here and most of the aromatherapy that's in here has nothing to do with Virgo or with Pisces energy. What it does at a metaphysical level is all those things have a spiritual or energetic meaning or frequency, so it clears it, right? And so you can put water outside, you can have moon water and have it be infused with the energy of right now, but it can't be used for a manifestation. Not at all. The energy of right now isn't about manifestation. It's a full moon. It's an eclipse. It's a partial eclipse. And you have to think about when we talked about energy and manifestation, the sun's energy is being blocked, technically, right? And so it's a time of releasing. It's a time of letting go. It is not a time of calling things in. And even though full moons are very visible because the sun and the moon are on opposite sides of one another, so from our perspective, the moon is fully lit. Um, and the moon is at its highest power right now. This is not the same type of moon water that you would use to do manifestations. This is moon water that you would use for transformations. This is the moon water that you would use to move stagnant energy. This is the moon water that you will use, honestly, at a very micro level when you just want to say, universe, take the wheel, ancestors, take the wheel, or spearhead, take the wheel. Take the wheel. When you want to move energy and you just want to be in alignment, that is when you use this spray. That is when you do it. And especially if you're like me and you infuse it with Pisces herbs, right? With some of those things that I told you about. So I'll be collecting the moon water, right? And make sure you go out and get it before sun up, or else it ain't moon water no more. And then I take that and I infuse it, right? And I infuse it because I make a concentrate, right? And so from there, I do various things with that concentrate. But again, I would only use this when I'm trying to do transformation work, when I'm trying to do work that is to move and clear a lot of energy, and I am not going to be in as much control, because you're never in full control, you know, of that energy that I'm calling in or I am working with. So if you are looking to use moon water, or you only use moon water for manifesting energy, this ain't the one to do it. You don't want to, you just want to not collect the water, or understand that if you do, that's just the energy of when it was created. And that's just what it's going to do in spite of your intentions, right? So I just wanted to overemphasize that. Some of the crystals you can work with are amethyst, mint, sage, aquamarine, bloodstone quartz, rose quartz, and lapis lazuli. I would have them out right now, but I just didn't feel like getting them off my altar. That's in right there. So that's pure laziness, but whatever. Did I give y'all all the stones? No, rose quartz and jade. And I am wearing today rose quartz and amethyst. So those are some of the stones that are associated with Pisces that you can use. And if you're going to do candle work, and I would highly, 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 highly recommend you do candle work. If you're going to do transformation work, if you just want to work with energy that moves things out the way, do candle work. You can pray over the candle. All my candles right now are downstairs on my ancestral altar, currently getting infused with the intention, not only set by myself, but set by my ancestors. And then I will be placing one on my altar to my Ori, my altar to my head, myself, and then right here, my altar to source or spirit or creator. But I will be doing candle work right now, and the candles that I will be personally working with are blue and purple, and it's like really deep blues, navies, dark blues, at medium electric blues, and really deep purples. Not really fluorescent purples, but very, very deep purples, because again, it's water energy, it's mutable energy, and it's deep water energy, and it's 12th house energy. So those are the type of candles that you will work with. And what you can do is during prayer, during meditation, you can light the candle, and you can either pray over the candle. So pray your intention or your manifestation over the candle, and you can have it on when you're doing any of your soul work. So to me, soul work can be studying, soul work can be meditation, or frequency healing, frequency hurts. It can be somatics, it can be yoga, it can be aromatherapy, it can be journaling, which you should be doing for real, for this full moon. It's journaling, it's scripting, by the way. But again, candle work, right? And you can use some of the herbs that we just talked about and do that in the candle work. So from a hoodoo perspective, if you are a root worker, if you're a conjure person, these are the things that I will personally do if you are getting into it in a perspective that I will come from. And with so much energy being in Pisces right now, some of the questions that I would ask myself is, What way spiritually am I holding myself back from calling in my full purpose out of the unseen? And I know that might seem like a complicated question, but you answer that question. Another question is, do I trust my intuition? Yep. With the moon and Saturn and Pisces, Saturn and Neptune being in Pisces, and Saturn and Pisces being retrograde, do I trust my intuition? Do you trust your intuition? Do you trust your discernment? Do you trust your inner voice? Do you hear your inner voice? Have you heard your inner voice before? And are you currently hearing your inner voice? Those are questions that I will grapple with during this full moon. I'm trying to think of anything else. I told you about the candle work. I told y'all the colors. Yeah. Listen. This is for real too. What I have been doing hurts, and sound healing. Like the way I used to carry clearing sprays and movement sprays in my purse is the way I will carry, and it got stuff on it, one of these bags like this and put this in here, and I will be in the car like just to clear my energy. And I know that sounds so crazy, like Jasmine. Tuning forks, it's what be helping, because it instantaneously, I feel it help my nervous system. It calms me down. It literally moves my aura energy, or it kind of helps me get my electromagnetic field like back into my particular alignment. And so yes, and this one is 4225 hertz. So this is a very high hertz, and is meant to move and clear a lot of energy. It's supposed to be like, I guess you could say, in the more angelic realms, or what we would come to know as the angelic realm. Sometimes I be feeling uncomfortable calling the angelic realm, because it's like so much more than that. But it's like the emanation of these energies, or these forces of nature, that we would commonly call in Western culture angels, is where this energy is supposed to manifest from. And I know a lot of people who do a lot of crystal work right now might know what I'm talking about when I say the angelic realm. If I can get it open, y'all. And that is this stone right here. Boom, boom, boom. I talk about this stone all the time, angelite. So this stone and this tuning fork is supposed to kind of vibrate at similar frequencies, like those very, very high angelic frequencies. And it's supposed to move and clear a lot of energy, and it's supposed to help you connect to your guides better. Yeah. All right, y'all. So I still have to do my moon water for the night. And I still have to take my spirit shower for the night, and listen to Hertz and meditate before I lay down. So all of that is probably going to take me like an extra hour and a half. But thank y'all for spending time with me, and for the people that tuned in, thank you so much. I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm just so happy for doing this. And Apothecary is back open. It's back going live. I'm slowly getting back into everything. And more videos will be coming. And thank you to the people who came over from Instagram. I love y'all. Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.